Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Faith, and thank you so much for watching. Today, I'm going to tell you all about some popular books that I do not think are worth it. Before we get started, I just want to say there will be spoilers, so I will put timestamps for each book in the caption. Please keep in mind, these are my opinions. Feel free to share your own in the comments. So, we're going to start pretty strong. Guys, what was this? What was this? With the way some of y'all were talking about this book, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, in case you can't tell, I was expecting this to be the holy grail of books. I was expecting peak literature. I was expecting this to be the best book that I have ever read in my life. And then I read it. It was too much smut for me. It was too much smut. It felt like the smut was equal to the plot. If I remember correctly, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It potentially could have been a 4th if I'm being honest, but y'all hyped it up way too much. I was expecting way more than I got, and so I was just disappointed. I hear a common criticism for some popular books is that they feel very Wattpad. This and another book that I'm about to talk about are two of the most Wattpad-esque books that I have ever read in my entire life. The flow between chapters was just not good in my opinion. It felt like she just kept throwing random things in there and there was no really rhyme or reason for them. Like her drowning in the lake, that kind of just came out of left field. It felt like each chapter kind of just picked up at some random point so that she could throw in like one little micro trope or something in that chapter, and then that chapter would conclude, and then the next chapter would start up on some other random point, and then we'd get through the little micro trope she wanted to add there, and then that chapter would end, and that just kept repeating throughout the entire book. That really was my biggest issue with the book. If the chapters flowed better, I definitely would have liked it better. Moving on to another hockey romance, Unsteady by Peyton, Corinne. I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce it. Honestly, this book was just kind of boring to me. It felt like every other hockey romance, like the most basic thing. And my hockey romance standard is The Deal by L. Kennedy. I don't think I'll ever read a hockey romance that will top that. If I do, trust, I will let y'all know. I shout this girl out on almost every single video. If you want a good hockey romance, read L. Kennedy. Every single one she has is incredible. Read them. But back to this book, I think I gave it a 3-star. There was nothing that really made it stand out to me compared to other hockey romance books. There were times when the female main character would just annoy me, and I felt like her relationships, specifically with people who were not the male main character, just kind of fell flat. It felt like they were just there to give her a social life and that there was no real connection. Again, these are just my opinions. If you felt differently, that's fine. Next, we have the other book that felt very Wattpaddy to me, Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I don't mean to judge, and I'm not judging. You can like what you like. It was fine. All of these books were just fine, and that's why I don't think they're worth the hype at all. If I remember correctly, I gave this book 3 stars. The end is really where it just lost me. When she got shot, that was so out of nowhere. That made no sense. I remember reading that, and there were only about 30 pages left in the book. I was like, I'm just going to be done with this. I'm just going to put this down, leave it here, and just not finish it because what was that? What was that? The book also ended on a very nice concluding note. Before that, I was like, oh, she just gave us a few more chapters of their relationship when everything's figured out, everything's fine, everything's happy. And then she got shot. Huh? I did not like that at all. What was that? I genuinely don't understand why that was done. And that is the biggest reason why I'm like, this book was not worth it. Now, I won't lie. I actually did enjoy their relationship dynamic in this book, but that's pretty much the only thing that I enjoyed. Like I said with Icebreaker, I think this book was just simply way overhyped, and I was expecting it to be significantly better than it was. And then we've got Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. I think that I gave this 3 stars, possibly 4. I'm pretty sure it was 3. This book is just not what I expected at all. If you're giving me a book saying Love in the Time of Serial Killers, and then in the description you're telling me that she's convinced that her neighbor is a serial killer, I'm expecting that to be the biggest plot point in the book. I read this a couple years ago, so I could be wrong. I didn't enjoy this book enough to keep the information of the book stored into my brain. If I remember correctly, she only thought that he was a serial killer for like 2 chapters. Now, I'm not an author, but if I wrote a book titled Love in the Time of Serial Killers and then put in the description, this girl is obsessed with true crime and thinks that her neighbor is a serial killer, I would have had that be the main plot point. I would have written it where,
Y'all really thought I was gonna tell you, huh? I was actually going to, but then I decided that I really like the idea and I'm gonna use it myself. And I put the shape over my mouth in case any of you can read lips, and not even you, Vol, can guess what I said.
it felt like true crime in general was not a big plot point of this book, which just to me is weird because that's literally the selling point of the book. Now, again, I could be wrong just because, like I said, it's been a long time since I read this. So she might have thought he was a serial killer longer than I'm remembering, but I do know that it was not nearly as long as it should have been based on the title and the summary of this book. So the final and potentially most overhyped book I have read, and I'm truthfully sad to say, Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Guys, if you watched my April reading wrap up, you would know I gave this book 3 stars. And I have thought about it more. And I'm lowering that to 2. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to those that enjoyed it. I just can't get behind giving it a 3 stars. I have so many problems with this book, and I went over most of them in my April reading wrap up. So if you want a longer description of why I didn't like this, check that video out. My main reasons for not liking this book: the pacing was horrendous. At least 200 pages could have been cut out. Not only could have, should have. The entire book, it felt like they were just having the same conversation over and over and over again. The only plot point, in my opinion, that actually had potential to be good was her going back in the games. Even though, admittedly, when I read that, oh, she's going back in the games, I was like, this is not real. What? I did not like the idea of it. It had potential. The potential was not met. The 3 trials lasted like 1, maybe 2 chapters apiece. Honestly, I really did want to DNF this, but my mom read it. My mom really enjoyed it. And for those of you who did enjoy it, I'm glad that for you this series could end on a good note. Not good. I would say the ending was more bittersweet, but I'm glad that you could end the series and still like the series, because I say this as someone who genuinely did like Powerless. Reckless was okay. I just did not like this one at all. And so because of that, I won't even recommend the first one anymore, because I don't want to recommend somebody a series where I know it ends like this. So many things in this book just came out of nowhere and made 0 sense. And I also find it disgusting how there's a brief moment where you know that Peyton is the child of the king, but you don't know that Kai is not. So there's a brief time while reading this book where you think that Kai and Peyton are siblings, and to me, that is gross. And before you tell me, Faith, well, you like Star Wars, you know, Luke and Leia were siblings and Luke had a crush on her. And to that I say, guess what, guys? I didn't like it there either. I think it's gross. If I were to ever go back and reread Powerless, I'll see Kit crushing on Peyton, even though I guess now that we know he wasn't really crushing on her, he was more just jealous of thinking she was stealing Kai from him. It reads as if he has a crush on her. So I'm gonna read that and be like, this is disgusting, dude. That's your sister. Ugh. I don't like. And the epilogue being from Kit's point of view, I hated that. I did not like that at all. I felt that that was a waste, if I'm being honest. I think that could have went right after his death, and boom, his part could have been done. Even though we did get a future glimpse from Kai and Peyton, the epilogue should have been from one of their points of view, in my opinion. Guys, that's it. Feel free to share any books that you think are overhyped in the comments. I won't be offended if I liked them. Everyone has different opinions. Everyone has different tastes. I could read books that I think are incredible, and someone else could be like, those are the worst books I've ever read, and vice versa. So I'm not going to get offended if you say one of my favorite books were overhyped. I'm sorry that you felt that way. I wish you could have enjoyed it as much as me, and I wish I could have enjoyed these books as much as some of you did. That is all that I have for you guys today. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow my Instagram, which is linked in the description, for more bookish content. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Congratulations to anyone who graduated high school, college, whatever. Love you guys. Bye.